Hello everybody, this is AK. I'm back. So I've not produced a video in many days. I've been busy, but also this is something that is going to be the new normal. In the sense that if you have been following me, you know that I said something about what my concerns are, and that's what Mr. Alvin Tan from MAS said. That he said this in Parliament, that all financial influencers should be regulated and licensed. And since I'm doing this as a hobby, I really have no inclination to do that kind of stuff. I do not fancy being licensed or regulated. I've been retired for 8 years or more by now, and I've not had to answer to anyone, well, except to my parents maybe, doing things that I do, right? So it's a hobby. YouTube is a hobby, so if it gets too much, it gets to be too troublesome and it's too much of a hassle, I'll stop doing it, right? Hobbies have to be enjoyable and not a hassle. So I'll stick to topics which I think would not be misconstrued as financial advice, which means that I probably won't be talking about stocks as much, or analysis, and what might look like a buy or sell call, stuff like that. But I think there are certain things which are important and safe to talk about. Right, so maybe stuff like the CPF. Maybe Akong or the government would like me to talk more about the CPF, since I like it so much. Right, so anyway, today I'm going to talk about something which might step on someone else's toes, but it depends on your perspective, right? But it won't be the government's toes, I hope. I've talked about how we should not ask barbers if we needed a haircut, because the barbers will tell you, of course you need a haircut, even if you have only one strand of hair on your head, or if you are bald, because it is in their interest to have some business, right? So, and I've said before that we should do our own due diligence and not rely on other people for financial advice if possible. And definitely when it comes to buying or selling stocks, do our own due diligence and not act on someone else's instructions, in inverted commas. And recently a reader told me that he listened to his broker and bought a lot of shares in a certain Chinese e-commerce company when it was at a high price, because the broker told him that the rally still has legs, the bull still has legs, and it's just the beginning. And although the stock price has gone up a lot, there's still room to go. And he also listened to the broker and bought a big chunk of REITs, because he thought that he wanted to benefit from growth, as well as at the same time get some dividend if he could. But his idea was primarily to benefit from capital appreciation. Right, so acted on both pieces of advice, and apparently both pieces of advice have not delivered, in the sense that the stock prices have plunged in both instances. So he's not feeling too good, and he said the only thing that is delivering is his investments in the banks, which he got in when he saw my blogs and YouTube videos. And I told him, to be totally fair, brutally fair, he should not have followed the broker or followed AK unquestioningly. He should not have followed either one of us unquestioningly. Those of us who are old enough, and those of us who are Chinese, Singaporeans who are old enough, might remember a series on television which was called 陌生人, or strangers in English, and it was about the stock market, right? About how brokers are strangers, and research houses, analysts, they are all strangers to us, right? They don't have feelings for us, right? They are out there to make a living, right? And they make a living off people like us, right? So we use their services because we have to, in many instances, and that we should draw a line, right? Whether we make or we lose money, they don't really care, right? And this is something that we should bear in mind. So, of course, when the reader asks me for advice, what should he do now? Should he sell his investment in the Chinese e-commerce company? Should he sell his investment in the REITs and use the money to buy into the banks now? I'm not going to give any advice. I don't give advice. So I say I only share my perspectives here on YouTube and in my blog. You take away what you want, take away what you will, and you draw your own conclusions, right? Very importantly, after you have done your own research, right? Don't write on someone else's coattails. I mean, I have readers, I have viewers who sometimes would tell me things like, after reading your blog, after watching your video, I feel reassured. And when I hear something like this, frankly, it does not reassure me. Because it tells me that these people need outside assurances, right? That means they might have followed me in and invested in the banks without doing much thinking, and they need to hear me from time to time in order to feel that they have made the right decision. That should not be the case, right? They should feel that they have made the right decision because they know what they are invested in, and that this thing that they are invested in is a good investment, and they know this because of what they have found out on their own, doing their own research, their own due diligence. If one day AK should disappear for some reason, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, I might just go kaput tomorrow, who knows? Then what's going to happen? Your walking stick or your crutches, they are gone, right? And then how? You no longer have a compass. Panic, sell, directionless, don't know what to do. So don't ask barbers if we don't ever ask barbers if we need a haircut, but you should ask yourself if you need a haircut. And no one cares more about our money than we do, so we should be more responsible, right, when it comes to our money, and definitely investments. So I think this is important enough to reiterate, and safe enough for me to share. And it's just something I'm recording early in the morning. Before I go out, I have to bring my father to the hospital, right? So and this will go live in the evening in the usual time slot, right? So if AK can talk to himself, so can you. Bye bye.